can you please look up this site?
See if we can figure out something.
All right, so Jacob Petty, if you were, why don't you choose a table there and have a seat? And then Jeremy Snyder, I see you're there. Hello, Mr. Snyder.
Hello.
Okay, so we can hear you. And both of you, I'm looking at my court file electronically. That's why I'm looking at all these screens. And let me just get information up before me so we can start this hearing. All right, so first off, Mr. Petty, why don't I put you under oath? Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Snyder, if you'd raise your right hand with me. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, what?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So we got you both here. There was an order that was issued on behalf of Mr. Petty. I see that you're here, Mr. Snyder. A little concerned about, I'm glad to see you're here. I'm a little concerned about service. I want to be sure what you got. It wasn't, let me look back at that, make sure. So you, all right. Did you receive something called a petition? If you look in the upper right-hand corner, what did you get?
I got this.
All right, I can't read that well. Why don't you tell me what it says in the upper right-hand corner instead of, it gets me a little woozy up and down like that.
Oh, it says filed June 24th of 2024.
No, what I want is on the caption under District Court of Washington, it says on the very right-hand side, the number, and then it says something like petition for protection order or temporary protection order and hearing notice. Do you have those two things?
Quite possibly. Let's see here.
Both lots of pages.
Yeah.
So you've got temporary protection order and hearing notice?
Yes.
And do you have petition for protection order?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. At all the, now that petition is 15 pages. You got all that?
Petition for protection order, temporary protection order, and notice of hearing.
And they're both those big documents are 15 pages long. So you got all the, you can look at the last page and it says 15 of 15. I believe it does.
5 of I've got it's a 13.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so you got what yeah. Okay, good. So you got that, and you got that on. At least your wife received it. Looked like at the Morrison Street on the 24th. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So first off, let me ask Mr. Petty, are you still asking for this order of protection against Mr. Snyder?
Ultimately, I do not want to be harassed, contacted in any way, shape, or form.
Do you want this order is what I meant? Yes. Okay. Mr. Snyder, do you object to the court issuing this order against you?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so I know where we stand now. And Mr. Petty, you're ready to go forward today. You have all the information you want the court to consider. What that means is if you said, well, I have a witness, but they're not here, or I have a document that I didn't bring or file, you're not going to be relying on any of that, right?
No, Your Honor.
So you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. So Mr. Snyder, that question goes to you as well. You're ready to respond to this.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're okay. Yeah. And that means you're not going to be asking to bring any other witnesses or other documents and say, because today's the day. And I don't want you to think that there's another day that you would be bringing information forward, right?
So What I think this is all over.
Well, I'm asking you a very direct question, Mr. Snyder, and I need an answer to that before we start talking about facts. Are you ready to go forward today to answer this? There is a temporary order in effect. The question is, will I issue a protection order after today? And I want to be sure that you're prepared to respond to this.
Yes, I am prepared.
Okay, well, then we can go forward. All right, so first off, what I'm going to do here is turn to Mr. Petty, started this action, and I'll see if there's anything more other than what you filed with the court. And anything that I should look at in particular from what you've got here from your petition. Let me see if I have. Yeah. So we have the petition, and then you filed that, I guess, a screenshot of a communication. I don't exactly know what it's from, but and so that's what the court's considered. So I'm first going to hear from Mr. Petty, and then I'm going to turn to Mr. Snyder, and I'll hear from you, Mr. Snyder, about your response. Was there or was there not unlawful harassment? Should this court issue this order? Is there a basis under the law to do that after today? So, Mr. Petty, then anything you want to add, anything more, anything you want me to focus on?
Thank you, Your Honor. I was invited to the Thurston County Miniature Aircraft Association by Ron Hill, the treasurer. I had spoken to him on June 6th in the evening, about 6 or 6:15. We spoke for a while. It was about my son ultimately joining their club because he has a recent, well, it's been going on for a few years, finding for aircraft, anything remote control. He's 14 now as of June 26th. Ron Hill invited me to come out on June 12th in the evening because they were going to start doing the night flies starting at 6 o'clock. I get off work at 6. I told him I'd come on now. I showed up.
Remind me who Ron is again?
He is the treasurer of the
Okay.
board of the Thurston County Miniature Aircraft Association.
Mini aircraft.
TCMAA.
Thing. That's what I was trying to figure out what that meant. I didn't know what that meant. All right, so Ron is the treasurer, he's an officer, and you called him and he said, 6 p.m., we're doing night flights, come on down.
Yes, and his number was available on the AMA, which is the American Miniature Aircraft website, which is a national club that you can join.
Okay.
My son is a member now. At that time, we were still trying to figure things out. We had gone to places like Viper RC Field, but
Okay, so this was on June 12th.
that I actually arrived, yes.
Okay, and was it just you or you and your son?
It was just me. My son had chosen, because it was the last day of school, to go hang out with his friends and play Nintendo Switch. So
Okay, got it. So, all right, and so where did you go?
to the Thurston County Miniature Aircraft Association's locale, which
So
is
that-
leased by, or they lease it from the Evergreen Sportsman's Club.
That's it. Okay, and so you're at the Evergreen Sportsman's Club property, but you are invited by Ron, the treasurer, and this is where they do their,
Yes, it's an area where the Thurston County Miniature Aircraft Association leases the land from the Sportsman Club, and they have their own easement to get onto Marksman and all that stuff.
okay. And you know all this
Because Ron Hill, Matt, and Richard, one of them is the president, the other is the vice president, had gone over all this with me.
Okay, all right. All right, so June 12th, then you go there sometime after 6.
Yep.
And then what happened with Mr. Snyder?
I was there for a while. I play a GPS-based game on my phone. I checked in at the location and, it's for points. And then I kept chatting with the treasurer. I had previously blocked Mr. Snyder from messaging me because I just found him rude. That's about the extent of it.
So how long have you So did you ever meet Mr. Snyder in person before?
I did.
Okay, and so how long have you been aware of each other?
I would say since the beginning of this year or the end of last year, that we have met in person physically. And at that time, we were very cordial with one another.
It's about 6 months.
Possibly more. November, October, it's somewhere in that neighborhood.
So 6 to 9 months we'll give you.
Sure.
All right, and then you also were on an online game together?
That's how we acquainted with one another.
Okay.
It
all
was
right,
that app, Ingress.
All right. And then at some point you decided you weren't interested in having that contact with him on the online game and you blocked
Or in
him?
person for that matter.
Okay.
He mocked, and I use the word loosely, he mocked the death of my friend. You've heard about the cab driver who was murdered, very close friend of mine. And that individual, Nick Hokum, played this game.
Okay, and so your impression,
I just don't want to
Something-
deal with him anymore.
all right, so when was that how did you
May.
block him?
It allows you to not see what the person says to you anymore. And that was sometime in May. I
Okay.
have to look back. I don't know.
All right, so is there a message or something sent to the person who's blocked or not? Or?
Nope, they have no idea that I blocked them. And
Okay,
it's
so they
just-
can continue to do
And
whatever.
it doesn't
and you have
affect
no
me.
idea.
I don't care. It's
Okay,
the rest of it's just going to XYZ location. Don't need to interact with the person.
okay.
It's all on your phone. You don't need to touch. You don't need to touch a thing.
All right, so you wouldn't know if he's sending you messages or not.
Correct.
You're just, all right, so then we come to June, anything
June
between. all
12th.
right,
Now,
then we
June
come to
12th, a friend of mine, his name is Jim. He told me that I received a message saying that he was going to lock me in. And that's when I unblocked him, saw the message. And
So
that's-
this message went, not, obviously he was blocked, it went to someone else.
Oh, no, it went to me. He sent this message, broadcasted it to the world. That message is not just directed at me. Everybody can see it. In fact, if you were to download this app, you would be able to see it as well.
All right, so then someone else, all right. so
Told
you-
me because they can see it as well. And I hope that I'm not confusing you.
Well, I just want to understand how you got this. So this screenshot then that you gave
I
us.
took that screenshot.
Okay, and so tell me what I take from this. I'm not familiar with this screen
Okay,
chat. Where's this from?
so this is from this app that you download called Ingress.
Okay,
There is an area in the game or in this app that allows you to openly communicate. And when these messages are sent in this format, it is broadcasted across both teams, green and blue.
okay, so anyone who's
Everybody can
playing.
read that. Yeah.
Okay, so Miko Magnum is.
Me.
You, okay, and then Show You Man,
That's
somebody else?
somebody else
Third
entirely.
party, and then Johnny Firewalker,
Firewater.
Firewater, who's that?
That would be Mr. Snyder.
And how do you know that?
Well, Mr. Snyder introduced himself as Jeremy, and Jeremy Snyder is the manager of that gun club, as identified by his face right there, that I have met in person.
Okay, but how do you associate that with Johnny Firewater? How do you know that's his handle in the game?
He introduced himself as Jeremy,
In
also
the
known
game?
in person,
In person.
as well as introduced himself as Jeremy in Campfire, which is a private, direct one-to-one messaging system.
Okay, and then-
Included in that.
so he would come in as Johnny Firewater. and
Shows
then
up
he
as Johnny
introduced
Firewater, an
himself
alias,
Got
a
it.
pseudonym.
And then said, I'm Jeremy, manager of and so then just trying to connect all these dots. So he comes in as Johnny Firewater, says, I'm Jeremy, did you say Jeremy Snyder or
No,
Jeremy? And then how do you know he's connected with Evergreen Sportsman?
this is information that he's offered publicly in the game as well as in person,
Okay, and so you got that sometime before June 12th.
well before June 12th.
Okay, so all right, you connected all that. All right, so then we've got the June 12th on the screenshot that I'm looking at that you provided, June or 6:25 PM. We've got Johnny Firewater, in green, and then Miko Magnum in blue. So tell me what this means. All I can say is if I catch you out there, buddy. So who's saying what?
So if it's green with the two, I don't remember. what it's-
Colon?
With the colon, sorry.
Okay,
Saying it to me, so starting with green, 2 dots, and then it says Miko Magnum, that is Johnny Firewater, directing a message at me. Now, this message is broadcast to everyone. So
all right.
you, me, anyone in this courtroom anyone in the world could read that message.
Okay, and then, okay, and then the next 6:25, Johnny Firewalker in green with a colon, and then Miko Magnum. I might have a talk with Derek.
Implying that he would contact Derek Sanders, the Thurston County elected sheriff.
That's how you took it. Okay, so, and at that point on June 12th at 6:25, you understood that Johnny Firewater was Jeremy Snyder, that he was the manager somehow in control of the Evergreen Sportsman Club and entry and exit to that.
The Evergreen Sportsman's Club, yes, not the Thurston County Miniature Aircraft Association.
Okay, all right. And they, the Thurston County, the THMAA, they lease space periodically from the Sportsman's Club.
Constant
do
from
their
the
thing.
Sportsman's Club.
Okay, and this was one night. All right.
And I did not at 18:25, 6:25, I did not know that message came in. I was not informed of that message, probably for another 45 minutes to an hour,
Okay,
when somebody told me that that was said to me.
so by 7:30, you knew there was this
sometime around
message.
there, yes, Your
Yeah,
Honor.
no later than that. So, all right, anything else that was broadcast or said or anything else other than this message?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Anything before this that would, why did you interpret this as, I mean, unlawful harassment says, I always have to look at it, knowing and willful course of conduct can be one event, but then there has to be other things, but a course of conduct, so a series of events, however quickly they happen, directed at you to, I have to look at the definition, to seriously annoy, harass, or is detrimental and causes a reasonable person to suffer substantial emotional distress and actually causes the substantial emotional distress and serves no legitimate or lawful purpose. So I have to find all those things in order to issue an order here. And what I'm asking from you is is this one event from June 12th? Is there? So and then you're at June 12th. So before you know of this message, did something happen between you and Mr. Snyder?
I now know that another event happened, and I was informed of that other event.
That's the May 15th that you're talking about?
That's actually June 7th.
Okay.
And that individual has requested to not be a part of this because they don't want anybody showing up to their homes to be harassed in that fashion.
All right. So the question is, somebody told you something happened and you...
Jim told me that his brother, who will not be named, showed up at the Thurston County Miniatures Association on June 7th. Now that individual, I don't speak with all that much. He lives in Chehalis. And Mr. Snyder locked that person behind the gate.
Okay. So you heard this from someone who heard this
from
someone.
Jim, who then I confirmed with that individual.
Okay.
And more recently, that individual said they at this point, they don't want to be involved with anything.
Right.
Because
Well,
they don't want their name associated with anything, and they don't want individuals showing up to their homes.
Okay.
Which is a concern because stalkers are real in the real world, and we don't want people stalking us.
Okay. All right. So I appreciate that. I can't really give that much weight
Right,
of
I
anything
understand.
because we don't have this person, we don't have
It's
any
hearsay at this
statement.
point.
Yeah, you know that word. I can't judge credibility And Mr. Snyder's put at a disadvantage. He can't question and wonder. We don't know what that was all about, so can't really give that much weight. So going back to May 15th, that was the incident by via the message broadcast, believed that Mr. Snyder was mocking you for mourning your friend who had been murdered. So can you tell me about that? And first off, why do you believe it was Mr. Snyder?
Because Mr. Snyder sent the messages mocking me and me wanting to continue mourning my friend.
Okay,
And
so it was in the same way that you gave us this
just
screenshot.
this, in the same exact fashion,
Okay.
online broadcast.
And-
Information that's accessible still to the state.
What did he say? What did he write? What
If
was
I
it?
may go get my phone, I left it on the bench and I
Oh,
could pull
sure,
it up.
yeah, keep your belongings with you.
So
Okay, May
Um,
15th. What was it that was said there that you said was mocking your mourning of your friend?
a lot to go through.
Okay,
So at the mocking of my friend who passed away, that started in this length of conversation at 12:24.
about 12 noon or
At midnight.
midnight, okay. And what was it that you felt was wrong about the messages that you were getting from Mr. Snyder?
So to put things in context, when you play this game, part of playing it is you have to interact with the location digitally, and it leaves your name stamped at that location until somebody else comes by. Nick had, at that time, 3 locations that still had his name stamped there.
Your friend played this as well?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, he did.
gotcha.
Yeah. And it was agreed at that time that we would just let it be. And if somebody from out of town came by and claimed that, it's no big deal. That evening, I had called Mr. Snyder out for going into some random park after dark because, well, it's against the rules, because it's against the law, that specific park. It's the Friendly Grove Park,
Okay.
closes at dusk. Mr. Schneider went to Tumwater, took the location.
So took
And-
Nick's location.
Took Nick's location,
Right.
one of the last locations that Nick had visited while he was still alive. And then proceeded to say, "Oh, that's what you're mad about. Sorry about that. My bad. I told you I was going to do it. I just need to figure out the right time to do it. And I guess now was the right time to take that location."
Right? And there was a bit of an agreement you felt with some of the folks on this game
There
that
was-
maybe just leave those sites alone and let somebody
There is an
outside of
agreement
us.
amongst both teams that if the person knows, everyone has agreed that if you know that that is the last location that a person visited before they passed away, you just don't touch it.
Yeah.
And we understand that somebody from out of town who doesn't know about it is going to visit it, and that's okay. And Mr. Schneider took this as an opportunity to continue on.
Okay.
I wish you could see the smile on my face. Why don't you tell me how you really feel? Then he said, you know, does suck when somebody that close to you dies, but also in this, it's just a game. I do have compassion, but not for people like you. I'm sorry I made you feel the way you feel currently right now, but that's your choice, not mine. But again, the smile on my face is ear to ear. And at that point, I ended the conversation. I said, you know what? I'm going to stop right now because I don't want to say anything unrelated to the game and comms. You keep on playing. I need my level 16 sooner or later. That's it.
Okay. All right.
And I haven't said anything to him since. Although I do now see that he continued messaging me that night. Haha, you make funny sound. You know where I'm at. I can tell you, you don't want to go down that road. I'm glad you got your point across that I made you feel sad that I killed your buddy's portal. I don't care. Have a wonderful night. Look, you're still walking sideways. You must be butthurt. If you ever want me to stop with the banter, let me know because I'm going to banter the hell out of you. Now, when he was sending these messages on May 15th, I actually didn't know. And there were more things that were said by me to him.
So you blocked him, but then you did respond.
Oh, I did not respond after I blocked him. There was no response from me after I blocked him.
Okay, so only during this. So
Before that, I had been messaging him too. I was just going on to the points where I had where he began mocking my dead friend. And at that
Okay.
point, that's when I blocked him because
all right. Okay, so we've got that event and then you blocked him. And then since then, the June 12th event.
the June 12th event.
And that's where
Mr. Snyder said he would lock me in behind this cable gate, which I now know in hindsight, something else with the other person that doesn't want to be involved in this.
okay. That maybe it happened before, but we really can't.
Right, because he doesn't
use
want to be
that
a part of this.
information. Okay, maybe you didn't. So, all right, and then you came to the court a couple of days later, got this filed, and here we are.
The next day I came to the court,
Okay,
filled it out, filed it, and on Friday we have the hearing. And my understanding was the sheriff was supposed to serve it, but
well, it looks like it
weren't.
was. I find that there was personal service and
Yeah.
Mr. Snyder had sufficient notice for hearing, so that's neither here nor there right now. All right, let me see if I have any other questions before I move on to Mr. Snyder. So all right, so blocked in or locked in, that means to you that you're going to be spending the night.
Physically locked
Outside.
in, blocked in by his car
Okay,
or the cable gate, preventing me from leaving.
okay, in your car, and of course you're out.
That
there,
is
I know
why I
what
was
this
on
is.
motorcycle, and that only means one thing. When somebody says they're going to lock you in, it means they're not going to let you leave.
Yeah, and, all right, and the hurtful messages from May 15.
Yeah.
Okay, in your impression would be fair to say he was obnoxious and hurtful and purposefully doing that to be hurtful.
The words at least were mocking me, and I really didn't appreciate it. And I don't want him to communicate with me anymore.
Okay, all right. At any point throughout this, did you have any sense that you were going to be assaulted or harmed or your property harmed?
On the June 12th incident,
Yep.
From reading those messages, yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and
That's
Tell me what
reasonable
you
to
were-
assume that somebody is going to lock me in. Now, at the time that I read that, I was already done, and I had gone with my girlfriend to do a trail just up the way.
so you're actually in there right now, or you
Uh,
have left the place?
I had left
Okay,
met up with my girlfriend who said she's not too far and asked if I
Okay.
wanted to do a trail, the Mima Trail.
Yeah, but you're not in this
At
area
that time, I
anymore.
was not in
Okay.
that area anymore. I
Right.
concluded my business with, we chatted around. It's smoked. Well, they were smoking. A couple of them were smoking cigars, and they were doing a glide thing. It's
Doesn't really matter, but you
Right.
went in, and so about an hour later, after this all transpired, you had no idea, but an hour
I
later
had
you
gone
find
down the
out.
trail, find out, and at that point, I called 911 and I asked the sheriff, like, what should I call? I asked them what I should do, and then he said that I should just get an anti-harassment order because it's clear that I don't want to be blocked in. I don't want the person communicating with me in any way, shape, or form. I don't want them stalking me. And other individuals.
Why do you think he's gonna stalk you? Why do you think
Because
he's gonna
other
engage in that?
individuals in this community of explorers, people that go out and do stuff, have been stalked, have been harassed, have been blocked
By
in
Mr. Snyder?
by anybody.
Okay, so it's
And
just a
everyone.
general
It's just a
concern.
general
Okay,
concern.
gotcha.
And it's not something that is specific to just Mr. Snyder. However, members of his friend circle, including Mr. Mac Lamb, Eduardo Martinez, two close friends of his, they have gone through and they have stalked, they have blocked people in, they have Mac Lamb out of,
How do you know this?
because we're a large community and we all talk and we all see each other's papers when this stuff comes about, because we try to stay away from that person,
Okay,
because that means that person is dangerous and you need to stay away.
okay.
Um,
So it's kind of
Mr.
general
Mac Lamb,
discussion in the community.
It's a general,
Okay,
yeah.
all right,
Mr.
no
Mac
problem.
Lamb had in fact blocked in a,
We're not gonna go down
Right,
that bird walk
right.
here, so, because it's not.
it's not
something that
relevant
the
to
court
this
Can
specific.
consider though,
Right,
even
yeah.
without any corroborating evidence. So, all right, so, let me turn to Mr. Snyder on all this. So, Mr. Snyder, your side of this, these events?
So I'm the manager at the Evergreen Sportsman's Club. And so when I first met Jacob was back in November, just before Thanksgiving. And at that time, there was a portal on the club, at the front door of the club. And on Thanksgiving night, I was in Spokane and he came out probably in between the hours of 8 and 10 p.m. and destroyed the portal, took out the portal, put his name on the portal and everything of that sort. I messaged him and told him that he shouldn't be out on private property after hours. He told me that it was a public easement and that he was going to continue to come out. So after that, I had talked with the board and everything of that sort, the president and the vice president of the club, who are my boss. And I was like, I'm having a problem with this gentleman and everything of that sort. How can we deal with this? And so what they asked me to do was to remove the portals off of the club. So that's what I did. I removed the portals off the club,
When did you
and
do that? When did that happen?
that happened in December, January, because
All right.
so you have to talk to the company and see if they're willing to do it. I had to send my ID. I had to send information that I was the manager of the club and everything of that sort. And so they removed the portals.
All right.
Then so at that time, me and Jacob were cordial and everything of that sort. We had gone back and forth destroying each other's portals and everything of that sort.
So is that, help me understand that better, in this online game, for lack of a better word, destroying each other's portals, is that
So
aggressive maneuver? Is that, what is
I-
that?
I'm a green guy and he's a blue guy. And so when you destroy a portal,
Okay.
so there's green, there's white, there's and blue and red. Red is Machina, which is an AI generated portal capture. Then you have a blue side, which is a person player, and then you have a green side, which is a person player. And you get to pick the faction. And so what will happen is you'll have a blue player that will take over a portal, and then you'll have a green player that comes up and takes over that portal. And it normally goes back and forth. Normally everybody's really, really cordial with each other and everything of that sort. And it's just a fun game to spend time at the end of the day when you're just trying to waste time.
So,
And
okay, so that's part of the game is destroying each other's portals. Okay, and I see Mr. Petty nodding. Yep, that's what it's about. All right, so Mr. Snyder, go on from there.
so then the incident happened with Nick Home or some I don't know the guy's name. It's like I've only met Miko twice or Jacob twice. The first time I ever met him was at the Mima Mounds Trailhead, and he was in a Ready cab and we talked. We were very cordial and everything of that sort, and we went our separate ways. Then about 2 months later, 3 months later, his friend had passed away or got murdered, and we were still cordial with each other and everything of that sort. And he messaged me to let me know what was going on with the case. He was telling me what they're doing to the cab cars, how they're putting armor and odds and ends of safety precautions for the drivers and everything of that sort, and that they were still looking for the vehicle that had been stolen from Mr. Holm or Nick. Or Nicholas. I really don't know his name.
Well, can you talk about the May 15th event when we get going into these allegations?
So the May 15th event was that was when I was mocking him about his buddy's death. Is this correct?
That's the allegation, right?
So with that and everything of that sort, he had messaged me about being in a park and everything of that sort, and I was there with another agent that actually lives in that community, and he was out there walking his dog.
So
We walked around.
Mr. Petty was out walking his dog, or your other agent? Okay,
Another agent.
all right.
And then I received a message from Jacob saying that I shouldn't be out in the park, that it's illegal, that it's after hours, and so I decided that he was upset with me and everything of that sort, and I might as well make him more upset with me. And we had talked about in the past about me going down and trying to switch that portal over without taking the guy's name off of it. Well, it wasn't possible. He told me that it wasn't possible and everything of that sort, and just to leave it alone. Well, it's a game and it's a back and forth thing and everything of that sort. And so I went down there and I destroyed the portal, and I took it and put my name on it. Well, then he messaged me telling me that I destroyed his friend's portal and that it was messed up and everything of that sort. And I continued to go back and forth with he would message me and then I'd message him back, and then he'd message me and I'd message back. During that time, it was a very it was kind of a very disrespectful conversation, but also on the other side of it, I didn't think that I was being aggressive or trying to I was trying to make him upset, but I wasn't trying to cause any problems. It was just a banter. It was mutual harassment is the way that I looked at it. And also too, we were both angry at each other at the time and everything of that sort. And I after that incident and everything of that sort, he asked me not to message him, or it was either I asked him not to message me or he asked me not to message him, and we were in a mutual agreement with that. Well, then later on down the road, he came out here to the property again, and I told him that he wasn't allowed on the property because I'm the manager of the club out here on the property and everything of that sort, and that he didn't need to be out here. He wasn't a member of the club. He wasn't a member
So
of.
are we talking about the June 12th event or something else?
This had happened from November all the way up until just recently to the last event that happened on June 6th or June 12th, or yeah, it was June 12th after that when he came out. And
How many times, so how many times since November do you think you had, I mean, because let's see, January, the portals were removed
yes.
through work with the company. And then since then, did you have information that Mr. Petty was using or trying to access those portals at the club that you disagreed with before June 12th?
What had happened is out there on at the aerodome, the Tacoma miniature aerodome and everything of that sort, somebody created a portal out there. And because of the way that the land is set up, you have the gun club, and then the airspace or the airport is a sectioned off area that is still part of the Evergreen Sportsman's Club property, but it's not considered, or on their map, on the Ingress map, it's not considered the Evergreen Sportsman's Club property. It's considered the TCMAA. And so somebody was able to produce a portal out there. Right. And when they did that and everything of that sort, about 2 weeks after it was out there, somebody came out and destroyed the portal, and then another 2 weeks later, he came out and destroyed the portal. I made a public broadcast on the Ingress game of people shouldn't be out at the club after hours unless they're members, or I have been notified to know that they're out here, because that is my job. I live right on the front end of the club as you drive into the club, and so my job is security of the club property and maintenance and management of the club.
Okay.
And so I asked him again not to come out to the property, and because he is trespassing, and if I caught him out here again and everything of that sort, that I was going to lock the gate. That I understand now was something stupid that I should have never ever said, because that is on the borderline of entrapment it's just wrong. I shouldn't have never even said that. Okay. And that is one thing that I understand that I did wrong. But talking with the members, the director of the board, all of the board members and everything of that sort of the club property, they were in agreement with me not allowing him out on the property. And he hadn't come out on the property from, we'll say, January to April, January to May. And so I figured there wasn't any issue. I figured everything would be water under the bridge. I wouldn't have to deal with any type of criminal trespass. I wouldn't have to have the board write out a documentation of trespassing him via through the board and trespassing him via criminally. I thought everything was done and over with, and so then he came out and destroyed that portal. I told him that he was trespassing on private property, and that if I caught him out here, that I was going to lock him in.
So that was the
Then-
June 12th message that you sent around 6:30. Okay.
Yes.
All right. And when you say I'm going to have a talk with Derek, who's Derek?
So Derek Sanders is the sheriff of the appointed sheriff of Thurston County Sheriff's Office.
That's what you
And
mean. Okay.
and so
All
here,
right.
here's
So then anything within that messaging or since then that I should know about?
there I believe after that I did not message him anymore after that.
Did you get a response at all from that June 12th from Mr. Petty?
I did not, and I think that's the reason why I didn't respond.
All right. So since then, and since this order, anything I should know?
So currently right now, so next week we have a board meeting, and so I had showed the board the what had happened, how I got served with harassment papers and everything of that sort. And the board is currently working out a documentation of a trespassing him from the property completely.
So it sounds like there's also a board for the mini
Miniature aerodome, yes.
Thurston County
Aerodome.
Miniature Aircraft Association.
Aircraft Association. So there's a board there. And in order to get to their area of the Evergreen Sportsman's Club, they have to cross the Evergreen Sportsman Club portion to get to their area, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so it sounds like these two boards, I mean, I hear that a treasurer, Ron Hill, and other officers gave Mr. Petty permission to be there on the 12th. Any information that you have about that?
So the board of directors from the Evergreen Sportsman's Club did not know that he was out there trying to get a membership of that club. Back when he had trespassed on the property back in November, when I talked with the club about it, or the board of directors about it, they told me that if he came back out to the club property and everything of that sort, to call the sheriff and have him criminally trespassed. He had not.
But then the Thurston County Mini Aircraft Association is giving him permission on June 12th to be there, and you were not aware of that?
I was not aware of that. And so, like I said earlier, my job is to keep security out here on the property and everything of that sort. And from time to time, the guys, they'll leave the property and they'll leave the gate unlocked. So there'll be times where I'll go and I'll take my dog for a walk and the gate will be unlocked. And so I'll lock it. I'll normally walk down there to the end and everything of that sort where they fly the planes, see if there's anybody there, see if there's any type of malicious activity that has gone on out there and everything of that sort, and then turn around and walk back home. It is my daily routine. Is something that I got asked to do by the board of directors because the Evergreen Sportsman Club leases the property to the Tacoma Aerodome. Normally, anytime that there's any type of new members or anything of that sort, when the Aerodome gets their information and everything of that sort, they send it to the Evergreen Sportsman's Club. And then the two groups, the two different boards get together and find out if it's okay to have this person out here. If they've had any type of, if they're like a felon or because there's firearms. It's a gun club. It's a sport club.
So then on June 12th, you weren't aware that the Aircraft Association had given Mr. Petty permission, and you are telling me that you were doing your job for your association that you were hired to do, securing. And so after you sent that message about 6:25, the screenshot that's in the court file from Mr. Petty, what did you do next? Anything?
I didn't do anything. I had, the only thing that I did do is I called the president of the club and told him that The situation was happening again, and he told me to keep an eye on it, and as soon as anything happened again, to instantly call the sheriff.
Okay,
And then after that incident, nothing did happen.
okay, all right. Anything else, Mr. Snyder?
No, ma'am.
Okay. If I have any other questions for either one of you. Good things here. All right, so Mr. Petty, Mr. Snyder, the court does not find that there was unlawful harassment as defined by the law. Now, May 15th, rude, obnoxious, intentionally mean, I think put a disrespectful conversation, however many adjectives I can find, it was ugly.
Yes, very
But
much.
unfortunately, the law tells this court, the decisions by the Supreme Court and the ones that rule us, rude, obnoxious behavior is not something that the court is to issue. That's not unlawful harassment, not to, unfortunately, we have to put up with rude and obnoxious behavior. Then I couple that with the June 12th event. I hope the boards get together, but sounds like Mr. Petty had permission from an organization, from officers. It said, yeah, come on down, see if you want to join us. You didn't know about that. You were doing your duties pursuant to your board. So what you were doing did have a legitimate or lawful purpose. There weren't any, I think the generalized worry of stalking, the generalized worry, I can't issue orders on just those generalized concerns. It has to be, as I said, a specific course of conduct committed by Mr. Snyder against you with the purpose of causing substantial emotional distress and causing that and having no legitimate or lawful purpose. So I don't find that you meet this, but this has been instructive, obviously. You both, it sounds like an interesting game. You get to go around and so I hope you can both continue playing that without having to deal with each other if you don't want to. But it's going to be up to the two of you to decide who you deal with and if you do or don't. And it's obvious, Mr. Snyder, that Mr. Petty really doesn't want anything to do with you. And maybe at this point that would be wise of you as well. So there won't be any order after today, and I'm signing an order that does that, and no further hearings. And I hope that this kind of puts things to rest, and I hope that the boards do a better job maybe of notifying each other when someone's given permission by their officers to be somewhere. But that's not for me to make a decision on. That's for the boards to kind of deal with that miscommunication. All right, so that's it for today. I'm going to write out an order. I can give you a copy, a hard copy today if you'd like, Mr. Petty, because you're here. Mr. Snyder, this denial order will be in the court file, or you can use your Zoom instructions to get in there and get a copy, or just contact the court. We can help you with that. But I'll write this up, and by tomorrow it should be available on in the court file for sure. I'm just going to give you a hard copy since you're here, Mr. Petty. So, Mr. Snyder, you can be on your way if you like, and that's it for today.
Thank you very much for your time, and you have a wonderful day.
All right, thanks. Me takes a little bit filling this out. Hang in there.
No worries. It's already 85 degrees.
I know, and it's I thought it was gonna be really, usually when it's hot outside, it's a refrigerator in here, but that's not happening today.
Going out to Hope Island, they got sandy beaches.
That's a good idea. Put your feet in really cold water.
Wasn't that cold yesterday?
Yeah, it was kind of low tide. I mean, if you can time it right, it's good swimming, actually. If it's low tide all day and it heats it up, and then the tide comes in late in the day, it's pretty good swimming. Almost done. We'll get you out of here.
People just leave me alone.
I'm just gonna make a copy and then just hand that to you, and then you're out. Wait, ran out of paper. Okay. Now it's better. Anyway, you can ask somebody else to do that for you on their printer, or is it
We're
gonna
gonna try one
finally?
more time. and see what
Okay.
happens.
Otherwise, we can.
If it's time for a new printer. Yeah. Right.
Okay. Maybe we can get a, are you able to use the one back here?
If they want to, I can email it.
You can just email it. That is perfectly
We
fine.
got your email? We'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about
Thanks.
that.
You can be on your way, Mr. Petty.
No, I
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Ron. You have a good rest of your day and enjoy
You
the
too.
sunny weather.
Yeah, at least that.